Welcome to the Easier Way to Sell presentation of Close the Deal Without Selling. Here's your host and developer of the Easier Way to Sell, Ike Krieger.
Hey, this is Ike Krieger. Welcome back. Before this episode is over, you're going to know the difference between sharks, dolphins, and tuna as it relates to your business success. And that's all going to take place in our conversation with my friend and very, very effective and talented trainer, Charlie Campbell, coming up later. We're also going to be discussing a different communications model called the PAC model, the transactional analysis model, which I think you'll find very helpful in communications, not only in business, but also at home. Let's begin with one of our checklists. However, there's only one checkbox on this checklist, and that's your open-ended questions. How are you doing with those? Are you using open-ended questions as a means to communicate with others and control that communication? You don't want to dominate it. You don't want to control the person. You want to control the direction of the communication so you can determine whether or not this person is a viable candidate for your product and or your service, or whether or not this is someone with whom you can just remain in relationship. But is that check mark checked on that box? How are you doing with your open-ended questions? When you use open-ended questions for all of your communications, you'll find that your effectiveness as a communicator will go up exponentially. In our next episode, we'll spend a while going over some of the open-ended questions that you know by now are so effective. An additional benefit of a sales conversation rather than a sales presentation is that you have an opportunity to examine the communication style of your prospect. It's another way to listen. Here's a communications model that will aid in that examination. This PAC model was made famous in I'm Okay, You're Okay, the Transactional Analysis Handbook written by Thomas Harris, MD. Transactional analysis is not, as the name might imply, referring to the analysis of a person. The model helps analyze the communication transactions between humans. More specifically, the communication transactions between you and or others. Transactional analysis suggests that inside of us all is a high-fidelity tape recorder which is always on and is always recording, and it's been recording since the earliest moments of our lives. What you've heard from others and your environment is indelibly etched into your unconscious. How you communicate on a day-to-day basis with others and with yourself is the product of this internal programming. In your workbook, you see that this model is made up of 3 circles in a vertical row. In the top circle is the capital letter P. This circle represents all of what you've heard and recorded in your early youth. These are the words, thoughts, and ideas shared with you either intentionally or not by the most powerful figures in your childhood universe. And of course, I'm referring to your parents or your parents' substitutes such as clergy or teachers or babysitters. The capital letter P in the first circle stands for an element of this communication model called the parent. This part of the communications process contains memorable phrases like should or don't and you better not. Sayings like you should always avoid those kinds of people and you must always or you must never are integral to the circle with the capital P. Let's skip down to the bottom circle. In this circle, you find the capital letter C. The circle with the C contains all the reactions to the circle with the capital letter P. The communications in this circle were formed after you became aware that there was a flip side for everything communicated to you from the parent circle. Two of the most memorable phrases in the C circle are, "It's not fair," and the single word phrase, "No." The C circle is fittingly named the child. The last circle, the middle of the three, holds the capital letter A, and this circle is called the adult. The adult in this case is not based on age, but rather on the ability to communicate from an objective point of view. Here's an example of the three stages that I used in my classes. I would ask one of the participants to ask me the following question. "Ike, what time is it?" I would look at my watch and see that it was 10:15. Here's my response in the parent. Responsible people know what time it is because of how important it is to be punctual. People who aren't aware of the time end up being late for work and not getting their jobs done when they were supposed to. You should be ashamed of yourself for not knowing the time. Get a watch. Here's my response in the child to someone asking me, "What time is it?" It's not fair that you keep asking me for the time. I have my own responsibilities. When you ask me for the time, it takes away from my effectiveness. Stop bothering me and let me get on with my work. Here's the response in the adult. "What time is it?" "It's 10:15. The last response is both objective and communicative. Commit to building a habit of speaking from the adult. In an upcoming episode, I'll share with you the process of pacing and leading. Pacing and leading is your ability to meet someone at their model of the universe, be it parent or child, and lead them to a communication inside the circle with the capital A. Okay, here's your homework. We'll call it a quick exercise. During the next 48 hours, listen to all communications through the filter of the PAC model. Take particular notice as to the language used by others as well as the language used by you, and determine in which of the three circles the communication originates. I urge you to communicate from the adult as often as possible, and just think of the mindset needed to stay in the adult as curious, authentic, and neutral, which leads you right back to the yes formula and quick. I've discovered over the last couple years that although most people are willing to and sometimes eager to read their own bio, hearing it read to them is sometimes a bit uncomfortable. And I found that in my interviews, taking the time to give complete and well-written introductions of somebody while they're actually on the line or sitting across from me might make them uncomfortable. And before we bring out our next guest, Shelley Campbell, I will read you her entire introduction. Shelley Campbell treats money disorders, spending bulimia, and income anorexia. She's the creator of the Financial Stress Reduction Workshop and has certified FSR coaches throughout the U.S. Her best-selling books, The Wealthy Spirit, Zero to Zillionaire, and From Worry to Wealthy, are published by Source Books Incorporated in 7 countries and 6 languages. She's one of Marcy Shimoff's Happy 100 in her New York Times bestseller, Happy for No Reason, and contributed stories to other popular books, including Chicken Soup for the Soul. Past president of the Los Angeles chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners, she was voted Most Inspirational Speaker by Women in Management, Speaker of the Year by the Association of Women Entrepreneurs, and Rotarian of the Year by the Pacific Palisades Rotary Club. And now, here's our fun and educational conversation with my friend, Shelley Campbell. Well, first of all, I want to say hello.
Well, hello back. I'm so glad that we have reconnected.
So am I. And as I was thinking about our conversation today, I looked at a couple of tidbits that you promote in your online communication with your followers, and the word affirmation keeps popping up. And I talk a lot about internal dialogue as it relates to your communications effectiveness. Tell me about your affirmations program and what makes it so important to your followers.
Well, affirmations, I got tuned into this from my mother fairly early on. Whenever we'd come home with a tragedy, like the boy we liked didn't invite us to the prom, or we didn't get the part in the school play or whatever, she'd go, "Oh, poor thing," for about 30 seconds. And then she'd say, "Okay, let's play the glad game." Well, we were upset and depressed, and we didn't want to be looking on the bright side right then, but she made us do it. So, and then we would just turn it around. We'd start being happy again. Because happiness or sadness is all where you're looking. Because we all have the darkness and the light. We all have horrible things happen, and we have fabulous things happen. So, which one do you spend more time with? So, for me, the whole idea of doing positive affirmations was keeping your spirit up and looking on the bright side. And okay, this bad thing happened, but what's the next thing that's good that's going to happen? Practicing actual positive statements, it's sort of like getting dressed in the morning. You get dressed physically, you need to get dressed mentally too.
You are involved in educating people in a very specific and very necessary niche of financial fitness. So in terms of the affirmations, how do you see that affecting people? How does their shift in their internal dialogue help them be more effective in instituting what you're sharing with them?
Well, see, most of the time people are worried about money. They're fearful about money. They think they don't have enough money. And so rather than positive affirmations, they're doing the negative ones. They're going, "I don't have enough saved for retirement. I'm going to be broken up, a bag lady, or live homeless on the street." And people have this kind of thing running all the time. Now, part of this is because we're never taught in school about financial fitness.
Mm-hmm.
There's no financial literacy classes. Some private schools have them, and some forward-thinking community schools will have them. But for the most part, it's not taught. So you just make it up out of the air of what your parents say, and what you see in the media. Well, the media, all the financial conversation from the media is from stockbrokers, financial planners, and insurance people who want you to save money and invest it with them. That's how they make a living. So do you think that's skewed a little bit?
I think it's skewed a lot. And also you come across the whole scarcity and abundance conversation that so many of us, those who live inside a conversation of abundance seem to be able to function better when it comes not only to their financial health, but also to their mental health.
I stuck to what makes a rich life, inside and outside. I saw the wealthy people had no spirit, and the spiritual people were all broke. What's wrong with this picture? So I wanted people to be happy. I wanted them to have plenty of time off. I wanted them to have confidence in their ability to create an income, because then you're never afraid.
Well, that brings up the question of all questions for people who give of themselves and provide information and training to others is, how do you deal with clients who know that what you tell them is gold, yet they don't implement the training?
Well, I have in my 8-week series, I have a 2 hours a week for 8 weeks program. And in the beginning, I go through an agreements list. This is your responsibility in the class, to come, to do the homework every week, to try out the things even when they're hard, and to call me if you hit a roadblock. And at the end of it, I say, "I'm going to be there for you. You call me anytime. I'll walk you through anything that's hard for you. I will give you support and encouragement. And if you do your part and you get to the end and you're not better off financially, I will give you a refund." Okay, so the people who don't do the work, guess what? They try and get a refund at the end. They don't get one. It's real simple. Well, you didn't come to class 3. You didn't come to class 5. You had an issue with this and you didn't want to do the work. So that's not my fault.
Wow.
Affirmations are a really good part of it. You got to think positive, but that just gets you ready to do the work. So when I have a problem on that scale with somebody, I just say, yeah, well, how many affirmations do you think you'd have to do in front of a piano before you could play it?
You're touching
Yeah.
my heart. You're talking to the old piano tuner here.
Oh, yeah, really? That's so funny.
Wow. I come across it all of the time, and I had tried over the years to go, what would it be worth to you to do it? What is it costing you not to do it? And I just decided that not to make light of the build it and they will come, but if you set up a program set of actions for people to take and give them the confidence and instill them with a bit of skill to take those actions, and they don't, I'm getting to the point where I want to solve their problem. And I
Right.
find sometimes that's not a two-way street.
No, some people are not ready, or they have an agenda to prove that this won't work either. And it's not their fault, and they're blameless, and they're a victim. See, I divide the world into 3 groups: sharks, dolphins, and tuna.
Oh, I like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Dolphins are the friendly fish. They look like they're smiling. They swim in schools and communicate, but they're tough too. They can ward off a shark attack and protect other fish in the sea. Sharks are eating machines. It's not their fault. They were born like that. They got big teeth, the better to eat you with, my dear. And, they're happy too. You can make a mistake that they're a dolphin because they look happy and jolly and all of that. But then when you get underneath, you see they only care about themselves, and they'll take all your money if you leave it out for them. So you have to watch out about sharks in dolphins' clothing. But then there's tuna. Tuna are the victims. They're swimming with the sharks, not noticing that they're missing a tail fin and the blood in the water is theirs. They're going like, oh, nice sharky. There's really a dolphin in there somewhere. I'm going to help him find his inner dolphin. No, it's a shark. Get out of the water.
Yeah.
So in my classes, I don't get many sharks because I have good shark radar.
Mm-hmm.
I get some tuna, but they have to be a tuna who's ready to do the work, because I call myself a tuna in recovery.
Well,
because there was a part of time where I was a big victim,
Well, I really find your comment about your shark radar marvelously apropos, because one of the system guidelines is avoid problem clients. And in someone's ability to have that kind of radar, and my thoughts are that we all have that, and if we just trusted our intuition, much of the time those that we thought might turn into a problem usually do, and end up costing way more in time, effort, and stress than anyone would have ever thought. So I like that.
I'm going to tell you, the secret for me was to get good at asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it my practice. I built my whole business network. I would just go to networking groups and look for people to talk to that I thought were interesting or had stuff going on. And I would then get their card and call them up. You can't just rely on the meeting. Everybody goes to networking meetings and passes out their information and waits for people to call.
Sits there waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah, I did that for about a year. Of the first networking year I had, I just thought, well, this is how you do it. If people are interested, they call you. Well, nobody called me. So I thought, well, I'm going to do a little survey, and I'm going to call other people and find out if they're doing something different that I'm not doing. So I would call and I'd just ask questions and tell me about, I want to be able to refer to you. So tell me how you work and blah, blah. Oh, great. Now, can I ask you a question? When you go to these networking groups and you pass out your stuff, right? Yeah. Does anybody call you? Oh, no, nobody's called me except you, Chelly. I heard that over and over and over. And some of those people, as I'm quizzing them and asking them, they're saying, well, tell me about your business. Well, gee, that sounds like a good class. I think I might like to take it. When is the next one? How much do you charge? Okay, sign me up. Just from my calling to be interested in them.
That's one of the greatest tips I ever received about networking, is that if you could be interested rather than interesting, it opens up a door. It's a key that just opens up this door to people realizing that you're listening. And what a key.
Well, you know what? There's nothing that's more engaging than somebody who wants to hear about you and what you're up to and why you do it and what's fun for you. I mean, and it's fun for me to ask these questions and hear the responses.
I agree.
See who I'm dealing with. Some of those people become my best friends. Some of them become great clients. And some of them become people that I avoid,
I certainly understand that. You mentioned Shark Radar, and I realize that although most people who might listen to this would never think in the day of superheroes of secret identities existing among people who walk among us. I just am so enthralled with your secret identity. I would like you to divulge it, but then I guess it wouldn't be secret anymore, but I don't care. Go ahead, tell us.
That's okay. It's really not a secret. I even wrote a chapter in my last book, which is called From Worry to Wealthy, A Woman's Guide to Financial Success Without the Stress. Because I wanted to really get to women, because there are too many of them that are the victim tuna instead of being proactive dolphins. So I have a chapter called The Amazing Things I Learned About Business from Playing Poker.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my secret identity. I am a poker player. I've won tournaments. If you Google Shelley Campbell Poker, you'll get my stats and some articles I've written and interviews I've done. And it's really fun. I love it.
And I have to say, as we're listening to you, those of us who sat around a table and said, what am I doing here? How do you tell, is someone bluffing? It really goes back to interpersonal communication and your ability to have awareness and listen with your eyes and everything. Can you tell us how you were able to develop into an effective reader of other people?
My skills go back to acting too, because acting is all about interpersonal communication.
Yes.
And, I was taught by one of my acting teachers, my high school drama teacher, who is fabulous and is now a Facebook friend of mine, okay? And he said, you want to ask two questions of any character that you're dealing with in a play. What does the character want? And what are they willing to do to get it? Because some people aren't willing to get off the couch and some people are willing to commit murder. So that's going to tell you everything. So when I sit down at a poker table, I'm feeling energy. I'm watching behaviors. I'm looking at who's bluffing a lot, who's a rammer slammer and raises everybody regardless. But you know what? I'm there to have fun. I'm not making my living from poker. I add a little to it. I like to have fun. So I'm jolly pretty much most of the time and kidding with people. And then I get serious or whatever. So maybe people pick up some tells on me, and that's okay. People have said, you're a financial professional and you gamble. And I go, what in life is not a gamble? You take a new job, it's a gamble. You get a promotion, it's a gamble because you don't know how to do that yet. You go to Paris, France, and you don't speak French. Well, that's a gamble too. And everybody has their own style and their own idea of what's going to be the best thing for them. And I suppose some people make up a persona. But really, you can't play long term making stuff up like that. You have to work too hard. If you're going to sit at a poker tournament for 8 hours, it's hard to maintain something that's phony. You got to be your own self and you've got to make it comfortable. In terms of selling, for me, it's like when I reach out to the people I've met networking or, Facebook is a big networking group. There's lots of connections I've made on Facebook. And I just say, well, let's have a conversation and get acquainted. And then it's a real conversation. I want to know this person because I don't take everybody I talk to into my class. If people say, well, how do you avoid the bad clients? I say, I don't sell it to them. I just go, well, it's great to know you, and I'll keep an eye out for referring you business and see you later. And I can be very friendly doing that. But if somebody says, well, I really need your class, well, okay, so tell me what it is you need. What are your areas of concern? What would you like to change or make different about money in your life?
There you go, the conversation.
Well, that's it. That's the magic question for me. That takes it out of the realm of conversation and into, would you like this program? Would it fit for you? Let's talk about it.
When you decided to look more closely at my program, what were you hoping it might do for you?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
If you were going to take something called financial stress reduction, what do you think it would do for you?
Yes.
Tell me. Let me tell you about one of the worst calls I ever did.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, I sucked at this to begin with. Like everything else, there's a learning curve,
Yes, there is.
One time this woman calls me up and she said, my friend Judy referred me to you. I think I need your financial stress reduction course. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. And what's your name? Mary. Okay, Mary. And she said, so first thing I got to know, when is it? Well, in those days, it was Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 5. And so I said 3 to 5 on Wednesday. She goes, oh, my God, I work for a living. I can't get off work to do this. Where are you located? I was in Pacific Palisades. She goes, whoa, well, I'm in Pasadena. There's no way I can drive over to Pacific Palisades. She goes, how much does it cost? I said, $2,500. She goes, oh, my God, I can't afford that. That's why I have a problem. And then I realized she was asking all about the features and nothing about benefits. And I saved myself. I said, okay, Mary, I understand completely. But could I just ask you, if it was at a place that you could get to easily, that was convenient, and a time you could make, and a price you could afford, what is it you would want to get out of this class? Well, total change. She said, well, I'm in business for myself. I'm struggling. I don't know how to sell, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, we handle all of that. And here's a story about somebody who was in exactly what you're talking about, and she doubled her income in 8 weeks.
Rapport.
Yeah. She signed up. She goes, well, I don't know how I'm going to get off. I said, I've never had a boss who refused to let somebody off early once a week for 8 weeks. It's not a lifetime commitment. It's just that you make up the time. You come in early, you work through lunch, whatever. She goes, okay. She had a wonderful experience. It was wonderful.
How did you develop your marketing strategy for your networking activities?
When I first made up my workshop, it's like the leading seminar leader, who's still one of the leading seminar leaders, was Tony Robbins. He had an infomercial on cable TV running 24/7.
I remember.
Well, I know they cost like $500,000 to do those things, and that's not counting buying the TV time. So I went, well, I'm not doing that anytime soon. But I can be my own 30-second commercial. I can go to all these networking groups, get my opportunity to stand for 30 seconds. So my 30 seconds goes, you're going to be rich tomorrow if you take my class today. I'm Shelley Campbell, and I treat money disorders, spending bulimia, and income anorexia. I have an 8-week program. I've written 3 books published in 7 countries and 6 languages. So if you're living on peanut butter and jelly and would like to afford deli, call Shelley.
Oh, geez. Wait, excuse me 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah, brava.
Well, it gets attention. That's all you can do in 30 seconds is people who like something fun and they laugh at it. Sometimes they applaud, and the people that are interested will come over and talk to me. We either become friends or friends and clients. So that's how I do it.
one of the reasons that obviously you're memorable, I remember you, etc. During the 2000s, I did a lot of work in branding. And one of the comments that has always stuck with me, and it's stuck with other people that I've talked to and have had even this conversation with, is that being better is one thing. Being different is everything.
Oh, yeah.
And when I think of you, and there are other financial people around, the question is, what is going to make an impression on people that when they need the help will go, oh, I want to have a communication with that person. Well, with that, I want to say thank you so much. This has been a delightful conversation, and it was fun to catch back up. And I was wondering if there was anything you wanted to say in closing.
My closing would be, let's all have fun, do good, and make money. Those are the three things that have to be in every life to be a happy life.
I couldn't agree more. From all of us listening to you right now, I want to say thank you and let you know how much I personally appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me.
Ike, it's just been a great pleasure. I'm so glad you reached out and we reconnected. This has just been a ball talking with you today.
I've enjoyed it too, so thank you very much. That was a very interesting conversation because I ask you all of the time to examine who is it that you're being at any given moment in your communication, and now you get to think of whether or not you are being a dolphin or a tuna and how effectively you're dealing with the sharks. I've enjoyed this episode. I trust you have too, and remember to tell your friends and colleagues about the Close the Deal Without Selling podcast. This is Ike Krieger. See you next time.